What's going on? Welcome back to Know for a Fact. Today, we dive back into 10 creepy and downright freaky facts. They say knowledge is power, but there are still so many things unknown. So it's easy to feel a little overwhelmed about the world out there. Knowing about these creepy facts might help you with that. Let's get into it. Violet Jessop survived 3 boat disasters. Violet was a stewardess, which meant she worked on boats crossing the ocean. Violet was working on the HMS Titanic in 1912 when it sank and was only put in one of the lifeboats after she'd helped passengers first. She was also on the RMS Olympic, the Titanic's sister boat, in 1911 when it collided with another boat, though it didn't sink. During World War I, she was a nurse on board the HMHS Britannic in 1916, which was also sunk. Violet had to jump into a lifeboat from the sinking ship and hit her head while doing so. Violet lived through all 3 events and later wrote a book about it. Talk about good luck. Did you know that the Venus flytrap is deadly? Well, deadly if you're an insect, that is. The Venus flytrap can be found throughout the southern U.S. states and feeds mostly on flies and other insects, and it's famous for being one of the few carnivorous species of plant. The Venus flytrap works by luring flies in with a sticky nectar, then clamping closed on them and digesting them whole. They have special hairs which sense when an insect has landed and sets off the plant to snap shut. Some of the bigger Venus flytraps can even eat tiny frogs. For this next fact, we'll go back in time a few centuries. Dracula is based on a real person. The famous vampire is actually based on a historical figure, Vlad Tepes, or Vlad Dracula, who was a Romanian ruler in the 15th century who liked to stick his enemies on spikes. Unsurprisingly, his nickname was Vlad the Impaler. He was apparently not a very nice man. The Dracula in his original name means son of the dragon, Draco being his dad's nickname, and refers to his fearsome reputation. He doesn't look much like our modern idea of a vampire, though. He has a mustache and a big fancy hat. There are also no reports of him drinking any blood. Next up, we go back to the animal kingdom. Honey badgers are kind of terrifying. The name honey badger sounds lovely until you hear about how vicious they are. Honey badgers are a type of mustelid, the family of mammals including badgers, weasels, and otters found in Africa and Asia. They are known to be very clever at getting around fences and traps, and their prey includes reptiles, rodents, and scorpions. They can be so aggressive that they've been known to get into fights with snakes, lions, and hyenas. As the name suggests, their favorite food is honey, but don't try to cuddle them like they're Winnie the Pooh. Your phone has more germs than a public toilet. 10 times as many in some cases. Gross. We use our phones all day, so we touch them constantly, and anything on your hands can get onto your phone. That's why it's very, very important to wash your hands after going to the toilet or doing anything else unhygienic. You should be cleaning your phone with antibacterial wipes regularly, and that goes for all your other tech too. If it makes you feel better, most things have germs on them. Or does that make you feel worse? Anyway, give it a wipe, please. There are tunnels full of skeletons underneath Paris. In 18th century Paris, the graveyards were getting full, which was leading to overcrowding and the spread of disease. The solution? Dig up all the old bones and store them in underground tunnels beneath the city. They're called the catacombs, and they house the bones of millions of people. The tunnels themselves date back much longer, to when they were used as underground quarries in medieval times. Many of the remains have been arranged in elaborate patterns and designs, and the tunnels stretch for over a mile. You can even visit them if you really want. On average, the catacombs get about 500,000 visitors every year. Have you ever been to Hampton Court Palace? Well, it's one of the most haunted places in the UK. Hampton Court is another old spooky royal palace. Built in the 14th century and made larger over the years, the palace has been home to many royals, including Henry VIII and King George II. Naturally, it's stuffed with ghosts and spooky phenomena. Famously haunted areas include the kitchens, the chapels, and even an area known as the Haunted Gallery. Ghosts include a Grey Lady, Queen Jane Seymour, and a mysterious man in robes who was caught on CCTV in 2003. The video shows a door blowing open and then a figure in what appears to be a robe appearing and then closing it. The staff said no one dressed like this was on site that day. What do you think it was? Authentic spook or historical hoax? People used to put cat mummies in their walls. Yup, you read that right. In parts of Europe, including the UK, it was custom to place the body of a dead cat into the walls of a new house for luck. Mummified cat remains have been found in several old buildings, including pubs. Cats have been seen as lucky or superstitious by lots of different cultures for thousands of years, including the ancient Egyptians, who considered them very special. Other items found inside old walls include shoes and magical carvings. We don't really know what's so lucky about a dead cat anyway. The Witchcraft Act of 1735 was last used in 1944. Helen Duncan was a woman who was accused of spying during World War II because she somehow knew secrets about the war. She was prosecuted under an act from the 18th century which made it illegal to pretend to use witchcraft to find out information. Helen actually claimed to be a medium or spiritualist and not a witch. Spiritualists are people who claim to be able to communicate with the dead, and this was particularly popular during World War II when so many lives were lost. The government probably knew Helen wasn't really a witch. In fact, Winston Churchill apparently thought the whole thing was ridiculous, but they were scared about secrets leaking and spies. Helen was jailed for 9 months, though the Witchcraft Act was repealed afterwards. Our final fact takes us back to the bug kingdom. Cockroaches can live without their heads for weeks. Yes, these resilient bugs have been known to survive for many weeks without their heads. Cockroaches are notoriously hardy bugs. The cockroach has a very different nervous system than humans. They don't need their brains to do most of the work, so if they lose their heads, their nervous systems will keep working and keep the cockroach moving. They also won't die from blood loss as the blood clots at the neck. Sadly, the cockroach will die eventually when it needs food and water. Clever, but gross. That wraps up our 10 creepy facts. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more daily facts. See ya!